Hi there YouTubers and 3D Studio Max lovers. In today's episode we're going to talk about a render engine that is already here for a couple of years on the market. I'm going to show you how to use it, how to transfer your files from 3D Studio Max to the render engine, and if you are really curious what's this render engine and how it's working and how fast it is, because in my opinion if we're talking about the quality and render time, I think is the fastest render engine out there. I need to say that I'm not sponsored by this company or about this render engine company, so if you guys are curious, let's jump in. Okay, so as you can see here we have the scene from the V-Ray scene that we made earlier in another video, and what you need to have here is the this toolbar, and in here you have initiate a live link to the Chaos Vantage. Then you have a Chaos Vantage a live link settings, and these are the settings. It's a port and an IP address which is a local host. You can also have a different IP in here, so you can have a different computer in your network. And then we have here the export and send the current scene as a static VR scene to Chaos Vantage, and then you have the import changes from Chaos Vantage in case you make any changes to the Chaos Vantage, and then we have the render animation with the Chaos Vantage. This means that if you have an animation in here, you can render this. As you can see, I have this animation made by all the frames that I have in these scenes, and I can send these directly to the Chaos Vantage. But what we are going to do is to create a live link, so I'm just gonna initialize this, but before that we need to create a quick render from this view, because we're going to use the filmic tone map that we used in here. We need to apply this also to Chaos Vantage, so in this way we're gonna get more or less the same tone map in Chaos Vantage as we have it in here in V-Ray. I'm gonna start a quick render. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this render right now because it's more than enough that we have. I already have it. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna start the live link. In the moment that I did that, it's gonna ask me to use my GPU. I'm gonna hit yes, and now I'm just gonna wait for the export from the scene and the import from the Chaos Vantage. Now it's importing all the nodes in my Chaos Vantage. As you can see, it's taking a while to do all of that. And now I have my scene imported. As you can see, it's not looking exactly the same as we had it in V-Ray, but it's quite close to that. The only thing that it's gonna fix all of this is the tone mapping and exposure. So that was my scene in V-Ray, and that is my filmic tone mapping. So that one I need to apply it into my Chaos Vantage scene. But the first thing that we're going to do is working with the camera. As you can see here on the left side, here on the right side we have all the settings from our environment. In here I'm using that is from Peter Guthrie pgsky.com. This HDRI came in 16K, but I had to make it half of it because the program can't use textures that are bigger than 8K. So as you can see, I have it in 8K resolution. In here you can also change it and use a physical sky. In case you are using a physical sky in V-Ray, you can also have it in here. As you can see now, I just changed that to a physical sky and I get a different render. But for now I'm just gonna move back to my original HDRI that I used. You have a rotation, of course, and the intensity for it. I'm just gonna make it 1. And now I'm just gonna go back to my camera settings that have them in here. This is the first tab. The second one is, so here is the camera type, what kind of time, the focal length. These were all important from V-Ray. The only thing that I would like to change here is the value of the exposure mode, and I'm just gonna use here 8. In this way I'm gonna get much more light into my scene. Even though this is very close and it's made by the same company, this this Chaos Vantage program, it's not actually the same as V-Ray. And now I'm just gonna go to my tone mapping, and here, as you can see in the exposure mode and the exposure corrections, I'm just gonna go to my V-Ray and see and check here the highlights burn, and I'm just gonna copy the highlights burn from there into here. And in the moment that I'm going to do that, as you can see, all the highlights are down, and it's already much better. Then the next thing that I would like to do is to use the filmic tone map, and for this I'm just gonna make copies of the tone map from V-Ray into here. In this way I'm gonna get the same tone mapping. So as you can see, I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna just start making copies for all these tone mapping, the shoulder, the linear angle, the toe strength, and the white point. Okay, and now I have all the tone mapping settings that I had in V-Ray also in Vantage, so everything is okay. The image still looks dark, but I'm gonna fix all of that in the moment that we're gonna go to the render settings. Now I'm just applying a LUT. The program is already coming with some LUTs, but I'm not very happy with those, so I'm just gonna use one from Lutify Me Professional. Yeah, you can just go to their website and try to get them from there, or just use your own LUT that you have on your computer. For now I'm just gonna use this. It's just to add a little bit more of contrast. And I'm gonna change this. I'm just gonna make it 0.5. I don't want to have it full on. Then is the bloom. I'm just gonna play a little bit with the bloom, even though I didn't have that much of a bloom into V-Ray. I didn't use it actually, but in Vantage for definitely I'm going to use it. It's gonna add a little bit more of realism to my render. Then what we have in here is the hue and saturation, but I didn't use any hue and saturation into my render. The color balance, I don't really care about it. And the last one is the white balance, and here I would like to make it a little bit more correct. So I'm just gonna use 5800 in the beginning, and then I'm just gonna make it a little bit more warm, just to have it more or less the same as in V-Ray. Normally you should just copy the value that you had in V-Ray in here, and you can also play directly with the color if you want to. In this way you can get a more specific value for your white balance. Okay, and the last one is the chromatic aberration, where you can go with positive or negative values. Yeah, I'm just gonna use a positive one in the end, but just a little bit of chromatic aberration. It just adds a little bit of more realism. Most of the people are trying to take out the chromatic aberrations in their photos or the renders, but yeah, to get more realism it's better to get it on. And then the last thing is the render settings. Here I'm just gonna hit advanced, and I'm gonna start with the first and most important one, and is the lightning and the GI. And here I'm just gonna add a little bit more of GI just to get more light into my scene, because right now I have only 2 bounces, and as you can see, in the moment that I'm adding 3 bounces is already getting much more light into the scene and much more realism. Of course you can go also with 4 bounces, but this means that it's gonna take longer to render your scene, and you're gonna get values that are, or render the final image, which are much higher. So for now I'm just gonna go with 3, which is more than enough for our first render. And then the second thing that we're going to do is working with the sample limit. So this sample limit, it says how many samples we're gonna have for per cell size. So at a cell size of 0.4 we have 256. I'm just gonna leave it like this for now to see the time that we're gonna get, and later on I'm gonna make another render with a bigger number so you can see a better quality. The next thing is the lights tree, because we have so many interior lights. Yeah, I'm just gonna add a little bit more of a lights tree, 3, 4, yeah, depends on you. Depends on how many lights you have in the scene, and especially in this scene. And then is the refraction. For this, as you can see, those glasses are quite dark, and this means that the light is not going through the material too many times. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of a refractive. So as you can see, 15 is the maximum and it's looking probably perfect, but I will go a little bit more in the middle. And then the reflection also, I will go a little bit more with some more reflection. For bounces it should be more than enough. And then the emissive, which I don't have emissive that much, only on this lamp which is above the table. Yeah, you can, if you want to get more light from the emissive materials, you can just change that from here. But for now I'll just leave it with the default. Okay, and for now I think that's kind of it. And here on the right side, as I said, we have the environment with the original state and the HDRI. And here, of course, you have a couple of other options, like you have the sun that you can add. Of course, the sun is working with the physical sky, and you have the wind that you can use for all types of vegetation, and also the ambient settings where you can have a little bit more of ambient light into your scene. So in case you want to render faster and you need more light into your scene because you don't have enough lights, but it's not the case for us. And also in here on the ambient settings, you have also the ambient occlusion where you can add a little bit more of details to your corners. I explained a couple of times how the lights work. So most of the time you are getting all these dark corners also in reality because the light doesn't manage to get into there. So yeah, in this case I'm not going to use any of them because I want to have a very fast render. So I'm just gonna leave everything as it is. Then on the last tab we have the scene state, and here we can create different scene states for each of the render settings, camera, materials, lights, and so on. And you can just save all these settings on each of them. In this way at the end you can render an image with different scene states. Okay, now let's hit the render button here on the bottom right. As you can see, you can render a still image or a sequence of images. In our case, it's just going to be a still image. In the moment that I push the render button, it's already adding here the resolution of the image. He just took this because it's a live link directly from V-Ray, so we have the same resolution as there. Then we have the samples, which is the quality of the image. It's a custom, it's on 256. I will just leave it as it is. We have a denoiser. We are using the Intel Open Image Denoiser. And then we have how much RAM we are using from our GPU. I'm just gonna save our renders right now, our first render, and I will just save it as a PNG. You can also save it as a JPEG if you want. Of course, JPEG is a compressed image and PNG is less compressed than the JPEG, so it's a better quality. We don't have TGA and anything else. I'm just gonna save it, leave the resolution as it is. The quality is gonna stay to 56 and start rendering. So as you can see, in the moment that I did that, it's showing me here how many seconds it's gonna take to render this image. So it's going to be around 26 seconds. In the left side we have the elapsed time, and on the right side we have the remaining. And it's done. And now this is our render. So this is a render made in 26 seconds on a resolution of 1800, and it's looking like this. As you can see, it's not really perfect, but taking in consideration that it's 26 seconds for a render like this, I think it's quite amazing. The quality of the texture is not the best. The bump is not looking perfect everywhere. We don't have enough refractions on the glass on the left side, but other than that, I think it's looking quite cool, and it's quite comparable with the one that we made in V-Ray. As you can see here, the textures are looking quite amazing, I would say, and everything is looking quite sharp. The textures and the overall look of the carpet, of the rug, is not that amazing. It's a little bit quite gray, but yeah, overall I'm quite happy with this. If you like this render, please let me know in the comments if you would like to see more videos about this topic. Okay, and now let's create a high resolution settings render. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna add more GI, so the maximum, which is 4. In the moment that I did that, I'm already getting more light into the room. Then I'm adding more LC samples, 1024 as I said before. The light tree, it's gonna go to 16 samples, maximum for reflection, for refraction. And then for the quality samples, I'm just gonna add there 1024. And now I'm just gonna hit render. And as you can see, in the moment that I did that, it's gonna take let's around 3 minutes and 33 seconds or 32 seconds. Okay, so our render at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, 3:33. Let's see the quality of that, which is this one. So this is the one and 3:33 with very high quality. As you can see, the normals or the bump is a little bit too much. It's not looking that amazing. Other than that, here the texture in the back of the wall is looking much better than on this one. There is also more light coming in. As you can see here, we have much more light coming in, and yeah, the bump maybe is a little bit too much, but we can change that in a second. It's not a problem. But yeah, you get a little bit more light, even though the first render is not really that bad, but you also get a lot of details in here in the rug, which is looking actually much more realistic than in V-Ray, to be honest. And here we have now also the render made in V-Ray, which is this one. This is a render made at the same resolution as the other one that we made in Vantage, but it's only in 1 hour, so I didn't let the render to finish. But yeah, as you can see, the quality of the wood, it's very nice, even though it's a little bit blurred, but it's also because it's not finished. But all the materials are looking amazing, and I don't have any crazy or shitty stuff happening in here. Also, as you can see, we have some opacity in here. You can see through this linen and this is the rug that we have, which doesn't have the quality of the rug that we got in Vantage, which is this one, which has much more reality. Even the one that we made the first time, it's looking better in terms of details. It's a little bit darker, but it doesn't get so much light. And as you can see, yeah, the materials are not look the same as in V-Ray, but the one that is more high res, it's looking quite good actually, to be honest. For a 3 minutes render, it's looking amazing. Really, I really like it. The only thing that it's a little bit too much is the texture in here, that it's too big, but we can fix that by adding less of a bump into the render. But yeah, other than that, I think it's looking quite amazing. The cool thing about this Vantage program is the fact that you can actually create animations for an animation that you can make it at home on your computer. Of course, you can go even lower with the render than 30 seconds per render. You can even go to 6 or 7 or 8. I made some renders at one moment for these scenes where I got around 8 seconds per frame, which is quite good. Of course, you're losing a lot from the quality of the render. You need to find an average of the quality and the time that you're going to spend on creating animations. But in my opinion, and from what I saw, in terms of quality, of course, because we're talking about quality, you can also get really nice renders in D5 render or in Twinmotion. But if you want to create fast animations, then you need a faster render engine. Of course, let's not forget that I'm using here an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090, which is quite an expensive graphic card, even though this year I think there is going to be a 5090 graphic card from NVIDIA, which is probably still going to be like 2,000–3,000 euros. I have no idea how expensive it's going to be. This one was quite expensive. I spent around 2,000 euros when I bought it last year. So it's not the cheapest graphic card. Of course, if you're gonna have a lower video graphic card, you're gonna have longer time on rendering this scene. But yeah, I think it's quite a good deal for what you get, and for sure in the future more people are going to start using this. Okay guys, so this was the episode of today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe in case you didn't do it already, but I know most of you they already did it. There are gonna come more videos about animation and how to create fast animations in 3D Studio Max with all types of render engines. I would like to do also tutorials about Enscape, about D5 renders. Yeah, stay tuned, and more stuff is going to come. Sorry for not making that many videos lately. I'm quite busy with other things. So again, don't forget to subscribe, give it as a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and see you in the next one. Bye.